Hey guys, what's happening? Thanks for tuning in, coming back and watching. I do appreciate it. I hope you're doing well. Staying safe and healthy out there. For those of you that are new here, I'm Jim. Nice to meet you. Thanks for coming by. I make tutorial videos here about editing your photos using different software products. Today I'm in Luminar 4 and I'm working on a sunrise shot from Hawaii. This was taken like 7 years ago or something. It's an old photo that I've gone back to. I first edited that photo years ago as an HDR, and I came across it in my library and I thought I'd take another stab at it. So this is not a comparison. I'm just showing you how I would edit it today. So let me show you the photo. Here's the base photo. This is one of the exposures from the bracket set. Therefore, it's kind of dark, but that's the power of Luminar. You can really control the light, not to mention the color. And I wanted to amp up the mood here, and so I turned it into that. Much more vibrant, much more bright, quite a bit saturated, even though I've taken down like the blue, I took down a fair amount. Still pretty saturated, but I liked it. It kind of fit the mood that I was going for. Let me reset these filters and I'll show you how I took it from this dark, kind of not as much colorful and much cooler photo to this vibrant one. Let's go. Okay, here I am on the base layer with the light tool. Here's the photo. By the way, I did crop it into a 16:9. Shot this with an old Nikon when I had that. And it was in the 3:2 aspect ratio, but there was so much foreground that was kind of empty. There was pool. I got rid of it. 16:9 I think looks a lot better here. But anyway, there's the base unedited photo. There it is after just a moment in the light tool. I didn't really make any temperature or tint adjustments. A little bit of smart contrast lifted the shadows. Next up was AI Enhance, which I love. It does a great job, as you can see here, of really bringing up those dark parts, but it doesn't mess up the stuff that I've already brightened or that may be brighter, such as the sky. So it's a really good tool for balancing out the light. I did that. And then I popped over to color, and here we go. I added a little bit of vibrance. I like to use vibrance instead of saturation. Saturation will really drag all the colors in terms of increasing their intensity. Vibrance seems to pop some of the less dominant ones. And as you can see in the final photo, what I'm trying to do is there's a whole lot of blue, especially the bottom half of the photo, which is the water in the pool. But there's a lot of blue in the sky as well, and I really wanted to warm that up. So I'm okay with a little bit of vibrance, but I didn't want to saturate because I don't want to overdo that blue. After color, I just popped over to Landscape Enhancer and got Golden Hour. And as you can see, it just takes those warmer tones and gives them a little bit more kick. I did 28, so not a massive amount, but you can see if you look in the sky, there's before and after. Also, this is the hotel that we were at. You can see some of those lobby lights that are on are getting a little bit brighter and more saturated as well, which I think looks good here. It's nice to have a little bit of that orange kind of offsetting the blue in the pool water. Next up, I popped over to the Creative tab, and here I use Glow, and let me turn that on. You can see I used Soft Focus Bright. Let me show you that one more time. There's before. Look at the sky. You can see, I thought this was a nice little trick. The sky's, bright enough. You can tell it's sky, but I really wanted to pop it a little bit more because I knew I was going to do some color work in a minute to really warm it up. And I thought adding that soft focus bright, it softens the sky, which I like anyway, but obviously, as the name implies, it also brightens it a little bit. So it took that sky, which was a little bit too dark for me, and it brightened it up a little bit. And let's be honest, I mean, the sunrise, the sun is coming up from behind the hotel. I felt like it was perfect to add a little bit of pop of brightness to the sky, and then I'm gonna go warm it up here in a minute. Okay, next I jumped over to the Pro tab and got Adjustable Gradient, one of my favorite tools. You can see the impact that it's had on the photo. I just left the orientation here in the center. As you can see, it was fairly well divided, especially with the crop that I had between top and bottom. And you can tell, I mean, the bottom is basically all blue. The top has some blue and some other warmer colors. I didn't really do any of these changes, exposure, contrast, shadows, or highlights, but I did add some warmth and some vibrance to the top of the photo. And then the bottom, you can see I increased the exposure quite a bit. And that's why I love this tool. It lets you separate the top and bottom. And in this case, the bottom really needed to be brightened up. And I thought it worked really well. Also added a little bit of contrast, which is why I went so high on the exposure increase. And then I bumped up the warmth quite a bit as well. It doesn't really change the blue a whole lot if you look at the before and the after, but it is brighter, and I wanted to warm it up because that might counteract a little bit of that blue. It's just such a dominant color. So I did that, and at this point, I wanted to continue with the color work, so I popped over here to Color Enhancer, and you can see what that's done. You can see it really warmed up those warmer tones, so a little bit of brilliance and warmth, and a little bit of split color warmth as well. And then at that point, I was on to split toning, and split toning is one of my favorite tools. I use it a lot. You can see the impact it had. Let me show you that one more time. There's before split toning, and primarily if you look at the sky, you'll see it. There's after, especially over here on the left-hand side. Now remember, lots of blue, not much color over there, and the only color that you really see coming through, warm color in the sky that is behind that palm tree on the right. But now the whole sky is really starting to take on those beautiful pink kind of pastel sunrise colors, which I love. And the highlights adjustment here did a good job of that. I left the hue at 0, which is really in the red, and went to 32. But I also did a similar move of adding a little bit of warmth to the shadows, which is not something I often do. A lot of times I'll take shadows and add a little bit of blue to them, but there's already so much blue in the photo, especially in that bottom half, which is the pool, as I said before. I wanted to add a little bit of warmth. So overall, I feel like split toning really took me kind of to that next level. So there's before and after. I feel like I'm really getting there. Now at this point, the thing that's really driving me nuts is all these spots. As you can see, my camera, the sensor was really dirty. The lens was probably dirty. I have no idea. This was 7 years ago, but I need to clean that up. So that was the next thing I did. I went and got an erased image layer and basically just went in with a little brush and just wiped away a bunch of those little spots. And now that I'm looking at it, I feel like I missed a few. That's okay. But that was the next move. And then I wanted to continue some of the work that I'd been doing. So I had a few more things to finish this one up. And they were really all here on the Essentials tab. The first thing I did is go into AI Enhance. And here was just another AI accent of 23. And that's basically brightening the image. It's very similar to how I used adjustable gradient on the previous adjustment layer, or the base adjustment layer, I should say, in that I'm basically brightening the foreground. I think you have to be careful with AI accent because it's not just brightening the photo, it's also adding contrast. But I think here it worked fine. So let me show you the before and the after. I think I got away with it. I just think you got to be careful because it does contrast, which pops colors. So you want to be a little bit careful with that tool. Next was AI structure, and I went negative here across the whole photo, and then I went in and I actually just erased it. I can just show you. So basically, and I could do a little bit more, erase, here we go, a little bit like that, just to kind of clean up some of those areas. But basically what I did is I softened up the sky and the water, and then erased that from that center area where I don't really want there to be any softness. I prefer that to be a little bit more crisp. And the last thing I did here is I went into color, and here I went into advanced settings. And the first thing I did is I took the orange down about -20. This building over here on the right hand side is like bathrooms or something. That was getting a little too vibrant for me. And it also did take down some of these things in the lobby, these lights. Now, if you don't like that and you just want to impact this, you could just mask that in. But I was okay with the overall change to that. And then I went to blue, and as you can see, I took the saturation down significantly, -40 there. And that got me really to where I am today with the photo. There's my base photo, and there's my current state. Now, the other nice thing that this blue reduction did is if you look at like these pool cabanas and the building and that sort of thing, let me show you before. There it is. They have a bit more of a blue hue. And so I wanted to be careful with that. And so in addition to the blue reducing the saturation amount in the pool water, it also helped me take that down and kind of restore a more natural kind of white or off-white color. I think, when you're like in the middle of the day, if the sun's hitting it, you're going to expect it to be kind of a pure white, basically. But I think in lower light situations like this, you would expect the whiter tones to take on some of the environmental tones. In this case, kind of the blue, or maybe picking up some color from the sky. So I think it's okay that they're not perfectly white, but if you wanted to make them whiter, you could add another adjustment layer and then go back into blue and reduce it and then paint it in. I'm actually okay with it like that, and I think it looks just fine. Just wanted to share that tip in case you had a photo where you wanted to do some additional customization. That's really it for the photo. I mean, that is my full workflow. As I continue to experiment with it, I always like to go back to like Mystical and Orton. I like to add back a little bit of shadow. I'm sort of undecided. I kind of like the way it looks, and I also kind of don't like the way it looks. So that's something to think about. I often use Mystical and Orton as things kind of toward the end of my workflow because they do add back some contrast and shadow like that is in this Orton example. Maybe that's getting a little too shadowy. I think I'm going to leave both of them off of this photo because I like where I am. But if you look at the before and after, you can see the key here for me was really how do I manage the light and get some more visibility into the foreground, like the lower 2/3 of the photo, because it's really dark. And how do I really pop those colors in the sky? And at the same time, in making the sky more colorful, I also wanted to brighten it, so that soft focus of bright that I used on that previous layer worked well there. But that is a before and an after for this edit, and that's just kind of how I approach this sunrise workflow, just really trying to pop the tones, the colors, manage the light, and get a crisp, beautiful photo that to me represented kind of what that day felt like. And that's how I did it in this episode here. So thank you for watching. I do appreciate it. I hope it gave you some ideas, maybe some tips or some things to think about for your own editing. And thanks for watching. I appreciate it. I'll see you really soon, my friends. I'll be back with another one. So hang in there, stay safe, take care, and I'll see you later. Adios.